Hey gang, welcome to Mzansi and USA News. Greetings to you. Today is the 9th of June 2024. We've had elections in our country, South Africa, on the 29th of May last month. So today is literally 12 days or 11 days to be precise away from that. Now, the results of our elections are clear. No political party got an outright majority, meaning 50% plus one. Consequently, this meant that political parties have to come together to form a government. This will obviously require setting aside political party ideologies and differences and put the people of South Africa's interest ahead so that the state creates stability and creates an environment conducive to creating employment. That being the case, let's delve into this video because my focus today is on a political party named Economic Freedom Fighters. Let's go.
The country's political parties now have just 1 week left before the first sitting of Parliament. But a government of national unity being what the ANC wants, parties have so much to discuss but so little time. And what happens if they can't come to an agreement at all? Newsroom Africa's Nick Anderson filed this report.
We have therefore agreed that we will invite political parties to form a government of national unity as the best option to move our country forward.
A government of national unity is what the ANC has decided on. But the ANC and other political parties now have just 7 days left to get it set up. That's because according to the South African Constitution, the first sitting of Parliament to elect the president must happen within 14 days after the election results are declared. While parties have been locked in discussions and negotiations over the last few days, the task of reaching an agreement on a government of national unity has been made more complicated by some parties refusing to work together. DA leader John Steenhuisen has said that the DA will only work with parties who want to protect and uphold the Constitution. That means no DA-MK working relationship, as the party led by Jacob Zuma has a long list of constitutional changes it wishes to make. On the other hand, this week the EFF's Floyd Shivambu poured cold water on the party being involved in a unified government, if the DA are involved.
We are not going to form part of any government with the Democratic Alliance. We're not going to sit alongside the Democratic Alliance and Freedom Front Plus in government as the Economic Freedom Fighters. And we are not desperate for positions in government. We're not going to do everything in our power so that we're appointed into cabinet or we become speakers of parliament and all of those things. We're not going to sit alongside the land thieves. We're not going to sit alongside the people who got to benefit unlawfully for a very long time from colonialism and apartheid.
Even though the ANC and MK are
Now, remember I said my focus will be on the EFF today. Is what Floyd Shivambu is saying here true as to the reasons why they will not sit next to the DA, that the DA was the beneficiaries of colonialism and apartheid? When did apartheid end? In 2023, November? No, apartheid ended in 1994. So then explain for me, why is it that in the city of Tshwane, in the city of Johannesburg, and many other small metros in our, not metros, small municipalities in our country, the EFF has had a coalition with the DA? Why? After 1994. Why was that the case? Just now, in the 6th administration, the EFF in the city of Tshwane has had a coalition with the DA, a DA-led government. In the city of Joburg, when Mayor Mashaba was the mayor there, he was the mayor of the DA. Not the ANC, the EFF had a coalition with them. So what's the real reason why the EFF is telling us the nonsense that now they want us to believe, as though our brains are not properly functioning? They are now telling us about colonialism. They are telling, yet these things happened years ago, and subsequently, as in like a year, 2 ago, they've had coalition with this very political party they now claim it's a colonialist party. By the way, it would be interesting for you to note, did you see the masses of the people who are supporting the DA? Did you see their skin color? Look, Can you see there? You can't miss the skin color of those individuals. So the EFF is simply saying that they will not join a government with as many black people as you see there simply because they are not getting certain positions. Now, where do I get that from? Well, let's hear what Julius Malema has to say would happen if the ANC doesn't get to 50%, right? What would happen? Pay attention. So here is Juju being interviewed in one of the stations just before the elections. Listen to this.
I'm prepared to give the EFF vote to the ANC. Nationally, if he doesn't get 50%.
And you don't need the glory of being a deputy president.
No, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Then I'll make one demand. Make Floyd Shivambu Minister of Finance.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think they're going to refuse that.
One.
Did you hear that? That is their demand. They've since added to that demand, by the way, Speaker of Parliament. But nevertheless, that is their demand, that he on record claimed that he will take the votes of the EFF, this without even consulting the masses of the EFF, to say if the ANC doesn't get to 50%, because all our analysts, by the way, in South Africa and the polls were saying the ANC will not make 50%. So he salivated, that is Julius Malema, on this possibility and went out publicly to say this is what we will do to help the ANC, because he believed it will get more than 10%, right? So if the ANC doesn't get 50%, we'll give them our votes as long as they give us the Ministry of Finance, right? Okay, now obviously that's the reason behind what Floyd Shivambu is saying, not because they can't work with the DA, because there is evidence after colonialism, after apartheid, of them working with the DA, okay? So there's no way you can tell me that that political consciousness that he's now putting on the table is the reason why they can't work with the DA, because they've worked with the DA side by side in so many municipalities. So the real reason why they are not working with the DA is because the African National Congress has rejected their demands. And if you think about it, considering that Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu have never worked anywhere, unless you consider what they are doing in the AFF as work, then you will know why they can't be ministers. A minister of finance is somebody who has the relevant qualifications academically, which Floyd has qualifications, but they are not relevant. Very important for you to understand. Relevant qualification academically to be a minister of finance, and the person has worked somewhere. They have built something, a business. They have been able to work a 9 to 5. They have a discipline of an employee or a business founder, not somebody who's never worked anywhere. And then you expect that individual to be the Minister of Finance. That's complete nonsense. But nevertheless, just to buttress the point that the real reason why we are here now, they are refusing to form this government, is because they were not given this position. Let's hear what Gulam has to say on Twitter. Now, Gulam is a well-known individual in our country. If you follow our politics, he posts a lot of information, which is generally true. It has turned out over the period of time that I've been following him. As a result, if you really want to know what is happening in our political dispensation before it hits the print media, well, then join X and follow Gulam. You'll get a lot of information there. Listen to what he's saying here. Julius Malema and EFF made the most outlandish demands in coalition negotiations with the ANC. They were fully prepared to work in a government of national unity made up of the DA. You see that? If they were given several top ministerial positions. I just want to take a pause there. They were fully prepared to work in a government of national unity made up of a DA if they were given several top positions. Can you see that? This should make any member of the EFF to question the entire ideology upon which the EFF is founded. If these youngsters are willing to lie through their teeth, like the way you saw Shivambu lying, right? You saw him lying because Julius clearly said, as their president, they are willing to work with the ANC. So why the 10? And observe, Julius is not going to the media to announce that himself. Why? Because he knows he's going to be asked about the video I've just showed you to say, but you said if the ANC doesn't get 50%, you are willing to work with them. What has changed? You get the point? He would be reminded of this. What has changed? Well, here is what has changed. They were fully prepared to work in a government of national unity made up of the DA if they were given several top ministerial positions, several MEC positions in Gauteng and KZN. When it became clear to them that they will not get the positions demanded, the EFF went public saying they will not work in a government of national unity which is made up of the DA, who were previously in full alliances with across, they were previously in full alliance with the DA, which is something I've already told you, across several municipalities. Surprisingly or not, the EFF did not make any demands for the land or anything that would benefit the people of South Africa. It was just positions and power in order for Malema to loot. The ANC must ignore these power-hungry, corrupt parties and must go ahead and form a government of national unity led by President Cyril Ramaphosa, made up of ANC, DA, IFP, and other parties who put the people of South Africa first, right? That's what Gulam said. Of course, there are responses there. I'll read few of them, not all of them. The ANC said no to the position of the Minister of Finance. Then Juju got mad and started to create divisions about race. VBS taught us a lot of things about this party. That's actually very true. Is it true if the ANC goes into coalition with the AFF and MK, investors will leave and bread will be 500 million? EFF is a union of looters. Mamene. They act like they don't want power in public, yet they make such outrageous demands in private ANC gatherings. So as always, it's just about filthy lucre for Julius. That means it's just about money for Julius. Every party that is negotiating within the government of national unity has their requirements. It will end up being a give and take. No one will get everything they want. That's actually very true. Same. A narcissist wants the authority of a king whilst having the accountability of a toddler. The picture you see there, by the way, is Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister of Canada, a dictator of note, right? So I hope we are walking towards a federal state. I want to jump this. What are those portfolios? Well, the portfolio that they wanted is Minister of Finance and Madam Speaker. Someone says, South Africans first. In Ekurhuleni, they wanted positions and neglected to implement 24-hour clinics. Though they have the health and MMC position, they neglected insourcing of security guards and cleaners, even though they have the finance. Neglected expropriation of land, even though they have the NMC for infrastructure. This is actually the problem of people who trust these youngsters of the EFF who mushroomed from nowhere. Remember, they were dismissed because of ill discipline in the ANC. Therefore, any self-respecting adult who understands politics would not be following them. That's just the first thing. I don't want to delve into their ideology in this video because their ideology is not worth the paper that it is written on. If you consider that these people were ANC members who were fully happy to be ANC members before they were dismissed. Now, the ANC has never advocated for expropriation of land without compensation. That they made up when they left the ANC. In fact, Julius began to say these things whilst he was in the ANC because, as I said, Julius Malema is a protege of Jacob Zuma. That's where they were now trying to change the policies of the ANC and the Freedom Charter to move away from what is written in the Freedom Charter, that South Africa belongs to all those who live in it. Well, the ANC has adopted the Freedom Charter in 1955. So it was already too late to try to change that because those of us who have read history already know what the ANC stands for. So this racial division that the ANC under Jacob Zuma fostered to bring South Africa to where it is right now, to create an environment conducive for parties like MK and EFF to exist, was literally created by Jacob Zuma's presidency. And Ramaphosa has not done any better hitherto. Okay, now let us proceed. EFF, okay, Pumudzo Makani, EFF is a business. Malema and Shivambu are political entrepreneurs. Okay, why are they so obsessed with ministry position and positions? Do they have a looting plan? You bet they do. You bet they do. EFF people have always been about themselves. Okay, EFF people have always been about themselves and no one else. People who have no shame, to see people suffering with nafsas and take a plane to go overseas and buy Gucci's and import German cars, but they say they hate whites. Believe you me, if the disaster that is Ekurhuleni, it is better to have EFF outside than inside. Do you hear that? These are people, obviously, who are experiencing what is happening in Ekurhuleni, where the EFF is looting that government clean. The EFF can work with anyone as long as they can eat. It's not about policies or principles. Precisely. That is why the message, therefore, of the EFF should be understood for what it is. If I were to form a political party tomorrow, and I were to, because this is exactly what has happened. Julius has studied our landscape, recognized where the African National Congress broad church was, and recognized that there was a lot of unemployment that was created under Zuma's government in the 9 wasted years, recognized that there's lots of, therefore, angry people who are hurt because of the corruption and the looting that took place in that 9 years in all our parastatals and what is known as a state capture in our country, from Zondo Commission, from Nugent Report, from Thuli Madonsela's recommendation, because Thuli came up with the idea and the concept of state capture in our country. Yes, it has existed elsewhere before, but Thuli is the one who recommended in a report that it should be investigated, and it turned out that in the Zondo Commission could confirm that indeed that is the case. Now, am I pro-Zondo Commission or not? Well, they spend more than $1 billion of our money, therefore they are worth to be listened to in terms of what their findings are, right? Now, here's the point though. This period of time created such hunger, such desperation in our society that they would cling on to anybody who came out with the militancy that Julius Malema came out publicly to demonstrate. Okay? Now, if you follow Julius Malema's political career right from the times he was in the ANC Youth League, and you follow where he bought a house for 3.5 million in Sunning Hill, destroyed the same house to build a house of 16 million on top of it, and lost all of it because the SARS was on his case because he was a tax evader and he owed SARS 16 million, which later became 32 million. And if you understand what he did with On Point Engineering in Limpopo, which is the reason why many Limpopoans would not vote for Julius Malema, because that memory is still fresh in their head. Yes, EFF may be an opposition party in Limpopo, I'm not quite sure, but if you look at how well the ANC did, they got more than 73%, if I'm not mistaken, in Limpopo, because people are being reminded about what Julius did there. So because many individuals are short in their memory and the videos are available on YouTube, but no one is playing them. So the things I'm telling you, Malema had farms which were worth 4 million that had to be confiscated by SARS. For all those who have drank Malema's Kool-Aid would say he was never proven guilty in any court of law. Let me tell you something. If you understand anything about finance, right, and this is my forte, okay, not that I'm bragging, but if you understand anything about finance, it's very important for you to understand that when somebody gets their house confiscated to pay a debt that they owe, and they agree to that and they make secret deals, that person is guilty as charged. Make no mistake about it. No one who's not guilty would agree for their farm to be taken. Julius's farm was confiscated. It was sold on an auction for 2.5 million. Julius's house in Sentin that he bought for 3.5 million, he destroyed it, and he was now, by the way, who destroys a house of 3.5 million? I'll tell you, it's someone who didn't earn the 3.5 million. So all I'm simply saying here, this may sound like as a deviation, but it is not. I'm trying to show you that VBS was a progression of looting from these individuals. All the different municipalities to which they belong is no different. Hence, we saw 1.2 billion in Tshwane being looted when they were in collusion there, and they demanded certain very high positions, like the deployee of the municipal manager in the city of Tshwane was from the EFF in a DA-led metro, where they had so they enter into these coalitions with the political party like the DA. Notwithstanding the reasons that the DA, according to them, is a beneficiary of colonialism, they are coming from apartheid, all of that is mumbo jumbo that is being said for the simpletons who are going to be up in arms and start typing things on this very video, okay, and start insulting me. That's what that message is meant for. In reality, these two young men are no different than Al Sharpton in America. They are no different than Reverend Jackson in America, who are seeking to agitate black Americans who live in a first world country, in a free country, and tell them that they are not free. That's exactly what Julius Malema's phenomena has done. Good people, let me say this once to you. You cannot deal with the past. If you had a homework, tomorrow is school. You didn't do the homework? Now, what time is it now? It's 1933, right? If you didn't do the homework, you've lost the time that you were supposed to do the homework. You can't get it back. Time wasted never returns. How much more you trying to resolve? You trying to administer cosmic justice. You delve into things that happened 300 years ago when Jan van Riebeeck landed in the Cape. When are you going to live your life? When are you going to live your life? South Africans don't care about what happened when Jan van Riebeeck landed in the Cape. At least I don't. And I know a lot of people who don't care. That's why I can say that. They did not elect me to say this on their behalf. Many of them are afraid to even come out publicly and form YouTube channels to say things like what I'm saying. Anybody that seeks to tell you you are oppressed in a free country like South Africa is because of your skin color, when the president is black, when the deputy president is black, when the entire executive of government is black, they tell you that you are oppressed, then maybe it's high time for you to change who you are voting for and not vote for these black people who are oppressing you. Have you considered that? They are telling you that they are not going to join this government because of the DA. The DA has not been government for the past 30 years. The ANC has been. Are you following me? Okay, I hope you do. So effectively, these individuals, they don't have an ideology. The ideology that they claim to espouse publicly is meant for you to believe the lie, because historically it has been proven world over that youth are gullible to the ideology Malema and Floyd espouse. That's why they speak it. Please pay attention to their faces when they say the things that they say. Pay attention to their posture. How can I say? You know, when a person is lying, you can tell when they are speaking that they are not telling the truth. When a person is not sold out to the idea for which, I mean, if I was the province of Gauteng's premier once called them Gucci politicians or revolutionaries. If I believed in Gucci and I would fly overseas just to buy these things and come back over here, I should never call myself a communist. Please understand that. Okay, even they, when they were in the ANC Youth League, used to criticize Blade Nzimande for the same. So why are they doing it? Is it okay when they are the ones doing it? No, 1,000 times no. But nevertheless, I hope this video does give you clarity into the real reasons why the EFF is now throwing out its toys out of the cart. It's because Malema and his cronies are not being given by the ANC, rightfully so, of course. They lack experience in these ministry positions. They cannot be given unless, of course, you want, as one of the guys said here, that our bread will be 500 million. Unless that's what you want, an environment not conducive to employment, which will exactly what would happen if the EFF were to come into power or to be given such strategic positions. Someone says here, why am I not surprised? It's about them getting the perks and loot like they did at Ekurhuleni. And many South Africans, I don't know why have they forgotten about it. Maybe they haven't forgotten about Ekurhuleni. That's why they got 9%. 9% is, of course, a worse performance comparatively. It's a bad performance for them comparatively speaking to the last time they went out there, right? Okay, so bear this in mind. EFF is property of Malema and Shivambu families. It's a family business run by two families with a board of directors like Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, etc. Don't forget that, okay? Nevertheless, so we're going to struggle to form the GNU government if the ANC is nursing the feelings of these boys. It is my view that the ANC can form a minority government. They can form, certainly, they can meet with an organization like the PA if the PA makes sense to them. Of course, the president of the PA is the one who also is public demanding Home Affairs, which I don't believe he should be given. We don't want anarchy. Guys, I'm not an anarchist. We don't want anarchy in this country. Mackenzie should not be given the office that he wants. Why? We don't want anarchy in this country. There is going to be tremendous rebellion from African countries if Mackenzie were to implement this Abahambe strategy of his. There's going to be a lot of anarchy and a feedback that would not be good for our economy. And we don't want South Africa to go into civil war. We don't want South Africa to go into war with its neighbors. There is a way which at a strategic level we can resolve all our problems by thinkers. That's why even though I'm anti-Ramaphosa, I think that a leader that has got morals, that has got good ethics, that has got Ramaphosa's ability to negotiate should actually assume that position. Does the ANC have that leader right now? I don't know. I don't know. Does any of the opposition parties have that leader with experience who would be able to take the country to where it's supposed to go? Do not undermine experience. Never, ever, ever. Not for running a country. For running your spaza shop, you can undermine it. But for running a country, that if everything goes south, billions, not billions, millions of people. I mean, you talk about 61 million people are going to be jobless. They are going to be foodless. You don't want that. You really don't want that. Yes, we are having it bad under the ANC. Hence, a government of national unity will certainly bolster governance. And the EFF is running away from that. Why? Because they know that the DA is not going to stand for their nonsense. It's a pity that Action SA has now suddenly decided to walk away as well. I don't know why, but the point is this. I believe the government of national unity, all political parties that have our interest at heart should get into it with their shoulders on the deck for one intention and one intention only. We can't run away from the fact that the African National Congress still got 40%. And therefore, we need to push South Africa towards stability. That's the first thing. So we must have a government. The second thing, the government must be clear in its policies. They are not expropriating any land without compensation. That's another thing. Then they must be very clear in terms of which policies are they advancing. The only time the ANC government made progress and grew the economy year on year by 5% is when they were clear about the economic policies that they were advancing a free market economy. Before they were taken over by the likes of Zwelinze Mavavi, the Julius Malema, and Blade Nzimande. Okay, guys, that's it. It's a long video, but I thought it was absolutely necessary to unveil to you the hypocrites of the EFF. This is very, very important. What do you think is the reason why they are walking out of the GNU? I've already given you mine in this video that I've just documented. Do you think that the ANC should be flexible to accommodate them? Or should they just go ahead and form a government with the DA and the IFP? And anybody else who wants to join that. Now, I'm leaving MK out for simple reasons. They want to change our constitution, meaning they want lawlessness. And I'm not going to talk about MK here at length. So I'm leaving them out. The EFF did not talk about changing the constitution, but they have one demand. And that demand is not expropriation of land, good people. It's that they should be given the Speaker of Parliament and they should be given the Minister of Finance. Are those reasonable demands to make? For people who have no understanding how Parliament wants to work, you saw what they did in the 5th and the 6th administration, how they treated Parliament. They brought Parliament into disrepute. Right now, they are in court to be heard on what happened in the 6th administration where their MPs were kicked out of Parliament. You remember that, where they went up to the stage whilst the president was still speaking. Do you think that such people should be given that position? Parliament reports to us. Parliament is the occasion where all the political parties are accounting to us about the progress of governance in government. So no one should disturb or interrupt that. I'm saying this because many people do not understand why Parliament is held. Anybody, therefore, that seeks to jeopardize the progress of Parliament is literally disdaining us as citizens to whom Parliament is supposed to account. Please bear that in mind. Don't be excited. Oh, I did promise that I would do a video on the role of government. It's coming. Believe you me, it's coming. Okay? But for the purpose of this video, let me love you and leave you. Tell me your opinion down below. Of course, you are welcome to criticize the video. You are welcome to disagree with me. Your views are important to me. However, there's only one thing even I am not welcome to do on this platform, is to insult you. Okay? That's not fostering any debate. That's not fostering any discussion or any... we are not building anything when we start insulting one another. Not at all. Different views can be aired. And I'm amenable to change my mind if I've made a mistake. Particularly if I've made an error in fact. I'm willing to change and come out and say, I apologize. I misspoke there. This is very, very important. That's what men and women of integrity do. Why? We do not plan to make errors in fact. It's liars who plan to do that and people who pursue propaganda. That's why when people are saying propaganda, I ask them, please define what is your understanding of propaganda? Propaganda has a definition. You can't spread misinformation deliberately. And people shouldn't accuse others of spreading misinformation. That is called ad hominem or a straw man. It's highly dishonest to make assertions like those publicly. So please engage with what I've placed before you. If you believe that EFF is justified, I'm not going to delete your comment. The only time I'm deleting people's comments is when they insult one another. Okay? Ciao, ciao, guys. See you in the next video. Bye for now.